Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Bhakti Vrinda ki Harinam Sankirtan ki Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jaini Thai Gauru Primanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, all glories. Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakambikam Shah Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostite Tapta Kansana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutiri Pranamami Hare Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evasya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam. And we are reading text number 3 that I'll just repeat. Nigama kalpataro regalitam phalam shuka mukha damrita drava samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasam malayam muhurahu rasika bhuvi. Yeah, more or less in the middle of the purport. Therefore, one who attains full knowledge of these different rasas, which are the basic principle of activities, can understand the false representations of the original rasas, which are reflected in the material world. The learned scholar seeks to relish the real rasa in the spiritual form. In the beginning, he desires to become one with the Supreme. The latter, in turn, delivered the message to his son, Srila Shukadeva Goswami. And Srila Shukadeva Goswami delivered the message to just 7 days before the king's death. Srila Shukadeva Goswami was a liberated soul from his very birth. He was liberated even in the womb of his mother, and he did not undergo any sort of spiritual training after his birth. At birth, no one is qualified, neither in the mundane nor connected with the Vedic culture, the more they are engaged in sinful activities. And actually in modern day society, experiments have been made, for example, for women who are pregnant. They separated two groups. One group of mothers who were pregnant, hearing all the time very peaceful, classical music that is very calm and soothing to the mind. One group. And another group, mothers also pregnant, who are constantly hearing rock and roll music. And it was, the study was to determine the effect, if any, on the, and that particular study was able to determine that children born in that kind of more Rajasic atmosphere tended to be more Rajasic as well. So that is one of the important principles and one of the reasons why our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada entities that Krishna consciousness through Gurukula will be more easily. Parents will understand the need, the importance of Gurukula, and will want to send their boys to Gurukula. And those young boys who will be born in this kind of family, spiritual family atmosphere will also be inclined. One time in Los Angeles, Prabhupada was, I believe it was during Guru Puja, and all the devotees were chanting. Namaskaras are there, and the more we have such kind of living entities taking shelter of families, then we can expect some good results. Of course, personalities like Shukadeva Goswami, when you have a father who is, the literary incarnation of God, Srila Vyasadeva is the father of Shukadeva Goswami, therefore that living entity was very special, are very attracted. Like Shukadeva Goswami and also Parikshit Maharaj. The Supreme Lord's pastimes are more attractive to liberated souls than to mundane people. Yes. He is of necessity not impersonal, because it is only possible to carry on transcendental rasa with a person. So that is the big difference between impersonalists or Mayavadis and transcendentalists, Vaishnavas. The concept of rasa doesn't make any sense to those who don't believe that God is a person, because rasa means an exchange, a personal exchange on the transcendental platform between one person and another, between one living entity and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Yes. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the transcendental pastimes of the Lord are narrated, and the narration is systematically depicted by Srila Shukadeva Goswami. Thus, the subject matter is appealing to all classes of persons, including those who seek liberation and those who seek to become one with the Supreme Whole. That hears submissively can at once relish transcendental tastes which are distinct from the perverted tastes of the material world. Just like we are constantly reading essentially the same literatures, like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. These are literatures in a class or category that is completely different than mundane, ordinary literature. And all of us, at to different degrees, are experiencing that. Otherwise we would no longer take interest. Who presents this fruit very carefully by stages of transcendental realization. We will see in the beginning cantos of the Bhagavatam how, although Shukadeva Goswami, or Parikshit Maharaj knows that he will be bitten by a snake within 7 days, but he's asking all kinds of questions, some of which are directly related to the material world, to the cosmic man. Reciting the Bhagavatam illegally is certainly not a representative of Shukadeva Goswami. Such a man's business is only to earn his livelihood. Therefore, one should refrain from hearing the lectures of such professional men. I don't know if and are able to attract many people. In any event, devotees means many of the congregational members were attracted to go, and then we were trying to tell them that you have to be careful. They would say, no, he's talking about Krishna. And then after the 5th day, I think, just 2 days before the end of the Katha, then he came out. Therefore, one should refrain from hearing the lectures of such professional men. Such men usually go to the most confident without undergoing the gradual process of understanding this grave subject. They usually plunge into the subject matter of the rasa dance, which is misunderstood by the foolish class of men. Some of them take this to be immoral, while others try to cover it up by their own stupid interpretation. So this is the prelude to next verse. Will be giving the background of how the Srimad Bhagavatam was also spoken for the second time to the sages of Naimisharanya. This is Vedic culture. Vedic culture, the last 5,000. This same subject matter is being presented, is being discussed by those who have a desire to get out of this material world and resolve the problems of life. And therefore we are being advised here to be very cautious in how we receive. And then Prabhupada replied that actually I read my own books because I find new things when I read my books. The author himself is finding new things when he reads his books. And then Prabhupada went on to explain, why is it that I find new things when I read my books? These are being presented, these purports, these transcendental subject matters as presented by Srila Prabhupada therefore have such a powerful impact on so many people who actually come in contact with these literatures. As mentioned by Prabhupada, of course, we need to be in the proper mood or mentality, and which is of submissiveness and also eagerness, as we read yesterday, eagerness to try to understand and appreciate. It's like constantly there are quotations or references in the Bhagavatam from Bhagavad Gita and in the Bhagavad Gita from Srimad Bhagavatam. Same thing we find actually in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So in this way, it makes like for a complete whole, that is further. Pibata Bhagavatam rasam malayam muhur aho rasika bhuvi bhabu kaham. Translation: O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desire tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of
disabled succession. Who is not in the disabled succession.
Yes.
Should not. Whether they get that benefit to recite or who hear also, or either way, we should not.
So the question is whether those who hear from people who are not in disciplic succession receive benefit.
Totally no benefit.
It is compared to what happens when we drink milk. it is very clearly explained, by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, and also by all of our acharyas, that we should avoid at all costs hearing from persons who are not coming in Guru Parampara. We should avoid the philosophy of Mayavad philosophy. Prabhupada, as we know, is being extended. They are being covered, actually, by Maya, because, as Prabhupada would explain, Mayavad philosophy is misleading philosophy, and therefore it is very destructive. It is, in other words, keeping us away from Krishna. It is keeping us, prolonging our stay here in the material world, because unless we come, so one time there was one great, well-known, let's say, Mayavad philosopher who was supposed to be the main speaker, and there was a Vyasa-san for him, and then Prabhupada was also invited. And then when they asked Prabhupada, actually the devotees asked the organizers, let Prabhupada speak first.